Hello everyone, welcome to VWO webinar. My name is Utkarsh Rai and I take up product marketing for VWO. Today, the topic of discussion is experience optimization in uncertain times. I have with me Ashwin Gupta, who leads growth at VWO. Hello Ashwin.
Hi Utkarsh, how's it going?
Everything is going great. I hope you're maintaining social distancing and staying put at your place.
I have not stepped out of my house, so I'm doing good, I think.
Amazing. So today we'll be discussing about the importance of experience optimization in uncertain times. And during the course of this presentation, we'll be discussing about various different ways in how businesses can sustain in these tough times. We'll be covering about some of the VW examples, like what our customers are doing to stay relevant, or what type of test or optimization practices they are following during the COVID-19 situation, how they're ensuring that there's absolute amount of business continuity. And apart from that, we'll be covering a little bit about how businesses who are kind of facing the heat in this turmoil situation, that how they can basically allocate resources, plan better in terms of ensuring business continuity, and what kind of value they can offer to their customers with every transaction they come which happens at their platform or website. So before starting the conversation, I just want to mention that this is a recorded session, and we'll be sharing the recording with everybody who have registered for this session. So no need to take notes. We'll be sharing it at the end of the presentation. Apart from that, if you have any questions during the session, you can ask us at any time. We'll be taking them at the end of the session in the Q&A section, the section which we have specifically defined for this session. Apart from that, you can also ask questions on Twitter. We'll also be responding to them over there. All right, let's begin.
Awesome.
So I think most of the people who are attending today must have already heard a lot about what's been happening around COVID-19 and what kind of business impact there has been around this situation which we have recently brought up due to this pandemic. I was in a conversation with a lot of customers in terms of how their business has been impacted. Few of them reached out in terms of what we can do to offer them in terms of supporting them, all sort of those things. So just before we kind of understand that what these businesses are doing, let's quickly understand that what are the different situations these businesses are in. So this is one report we pulled out from the Business Outlook survey, which says that about 15% of businesses have seen a positive impact. And when I say positive impact, it means that they have seen growth, they have driven profits. Like you must have been hearing a lot about Zoom and other SaaS businesses who have made money out of or have driven their businesses in this time. But on this other half, that there's 67% businesses who have lost revenue or lost it to a drastic level that they either have to shut down their operations or had to lay off some of good chunk of their employees. So let's start the conversation around discussing these three business segments. Ashwin, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think what's important is understanding how you have been impacted in this situation. So certain businesses have been impacted directly. So if you're looking at your funnel, for example, travel industry, travel and hospitality, that the people who are coming in, they're not converting. And like you don't need to build massive dashboards to really understand that you've been directly impacted, and you need to figure out how you would navigate the situation going forward. Then, as you said, on the other side, there's been headwind on certain kinds of businesses, as like one industry that I could definitely think about is online work collaboration. So tools like Zoom, Loom, Google Docs, and stuff like that. The kind of surge in usage that you've seen is unprecedented. So they have used the situation, or this situation has helped them to create momentum that's never been seen before. But I think there's this middle ground as well, where businesses have been impacted, but they've not been impacted to the extent as you would see on the either side of the spectrum. they've seen their numbers going up and down. They're not sure, what part of their business has been really impacted. And it's kind of hidden, it's probably not showing up in the dashboards right now. Maybe a couple of matrices are going here and there, but you still do not know, what kind of impact your business is having. And that's where you have to kind of go back to the fundamentals. What actions are users taking? Why are they taking those actions, and who are the people who are taking those actions? You have an inherent understanding of these questions, but you need to start answering those questions again, because unprecedented times, the behavior has changed. It's weird, it's different. And you need to capture that. So one thing that would be important for businesses that are not on the either ends of the spectrum is to really unpack their funnel, unpack the steps that the users are taking, and even reevaluate who are the users who are coming in at this point of time, and understand why are they coming in. So looking at the data with a different lens, and reevaluating the business. And once you figure out, what parts of your funnel, or where people are getting stuck, or where people are losing interest, or where people are not able to move forward, that's where you need to kind of customize your strategy going forward. So yeah, so this data is in line with what I've just discussed.
That's great. That you mentioned about this part, that where businesses need to take a step back, evaluate what's been happening, understand what their customer expectations are and everything. But we also see that this 67% of businesses, most of them are either on the verge of getting out of business, or are just having a very tough time in terms of just sustaining, or just even maintaining day-to-day activities. I don't know what sort of a runway they have to maybe exist, say for a year or two maybe. What would you suggest as the overall something like the key pointers for them to do in such a situation? First of all, to ensure there's this good amount of feedback which is coming to them, to ensure that they reposition or adjust their existing growth strategy. And second, on the perspective of how do they allocate resources, or what type of activities they should be doing right now.
So there are a lot of layers to that question. So I'll start off, by understanding, if there's a massive drop in your revenue, you need to understand why is there a massive drop. So for example, travel industry, there's a temporary change of behavior because literally you cannot go out. There are travel bans out there. If someone is coming in onto your website, there's a new piece of information that they're looking at. The travel advisories that people have, or the countries have, or the internal governments have. And you're looking at this new piece of information. The way you are taking calls on, when you need to travel has completely changed. It needs to be absolutely essential for either, your personal or professional, reasons. And then because this change is temporary, that, once things go back to normal, it would, you would have people coming back to travel across the board. So that's a behavior that has a temporary pause attached to it. But there are behaviors, for example, again, businesses like WeWork, now that people have started testing out remote work, this is the fourth test of remote work. Where does a business like WeWork stand? After even after COVID has passed by, because there's a different behavior that has kind of been invented because of this situation. And how would you tackle that behavior? So in certain cases, your product market fit has to be kind of redefined from scratch. And if that is the business that you're in, and you expect a behavior to be permanent, you need to start preparing for that as well. And you'll probably not know, the couple of examples that I've taken are still extremes. Now, if you're right in between, maybe even the behavior of how people go to restaurants and how often they go to restaurants may change. And if that changes, that again, like if your business is based on people going out, suddenly if there's drop in the engagement, or the number of times people go out in a week, how does that impact your business? And that needs to then be understood from a product market fit. Is your business still viable? If there's let's say an 80% drop in that behavior going forward. So that needs to be reevaluated. You need to keep on looking at matrices, and be optimist and conservative at the same time. Conservative in the sense, like, what if like there's certain behaviors they continue even after COVID? What would your business do? what can your business do right now to make sure that that does not continue. So one example I would give is, there's a business called ClassPass, that kind of, is a networking website in the US that helps you connect with people over coffee for professional networking. Now, obviously, they have seen a huge drop in the number of interactions that are happening on the platform. But now they can, look at online meeting, probably build on top of Zoom and kind of reimagine how the product market fit would happen there. So you really need to look at behavior, keep a close eye on the change of behavior. If it's temporary, permanent, have some way of understanding that, and also be an optimist and a pessimist at the same time to navigate this situation, because it can go in either of the direction. Maybe once post COVID the travel industry gets an insane boom, how would you manage that? Are you ready for it, even if it happens in 1, 2, or 3 years? So yeah, scenario planning basically, to get this right from multiple facets.
Yeah, it's interesting that you took the example of restaurant bookings and table bookings, because we see that a lot has been happening in that perspective. Like a lot of businesses, they realize this new expectation that there's a lockdown situation, people cannot step out. So most of these businesses have either adapted to the new realities, which is like they understand that they cannot say deliver or like bring people back to the restaurants. They have started maybe themes around, or maybe started supporting for social causes. Like there was this one marketing campaign which I was seeing where businesses who basically book tables, like like in India we do have businesses like Easy Diners, Zomato, who are doing that. So what they're doing right now is that just to have that engagement with their customers, just to have that that their customers are still engaged, are coming to back to the platform, they have good number of active users, they are like resorting towards social causes. And like I see that there'll be good activities which have been happening around, maybe having hunger hostels where these people are offering meals to people who have either lost jobs or like are below poverty line, and all sort of those for those people in areas. Apart from that, there was another campaign which I saw around, in terms of like, say if you are big on going out on a particular restaurant, or you like certain cuisine. So it's like, like personally I like Mediterranean cuisine a lot, but I know that first of all Mediterranean food is a niche in an Indian market, and plus it's very difficult to sustain that as a business. So a lot of these businesses were working towards supporting these restaurants by maybe either booking a meal in advance, or like building experiences which we can redeem, say 6 months down the line, or because at some point in time we know that we will be stepping out of our houses. We know that this is going to be, we will be putting an end to all this situation which we're experiencing right now. So they are thinking long term. They are currently working towards getting more and more users, getting that engagement mix, and all sort of things. What is your comment on the strategies which businesses who are adopting on these lines?
So the businesses that you've talked about, are looking at this change as a temporary change, and they're looking to provide value to the end customers in whatever way is possible. So the traffic that is coming into your website or coming onto your app, and these, the users that are coming in, how do you provide value to them as as quickly as possible? And if you have to redefine value itself, how do you do that? So if you look at Airbnb, so people come in there for new experiences, and obviously travel is a big part of it. But now, since people cannot travel, they have introduced online experiences. So one way of looking at it is, right now they're not probably focusing on bookings. What they're focusing on is engagement on the platform. So when they're looking to optimize, suddenly the optimization metric has completely changed. They're looking to provide new value, see how people react to it, and like iterate on top of that. And this new behavior is something that they would like to probably unfold, learn a lot about right now. And then once you get this right, along with when things go back to normalcy, it'll kind of combine with the bookings business, and expand Airbnb's business a lot more than it is right now. The other thing is also looking at what is the purpose of what are your objectives right now. So if you want to have brand awareness at this point of time, making sure that your brand is out there, people retain your name, they're reminded of who you are, again and again. So you being part, doing certain activities, like as you talked about, helping the government, helping people and at the front line and stuff like that. That again is a strategy on making sure that there's brand recall at the end of the day when this is over. So understanding the changing objectives during these uncertain times are important. Then how do you optimize for those change objectives? And maybe you have to keep hold on revenue for a while. So there's this whole idea of like having potential customers, who can monetize, whom you can monetize later on. So one of the examples that I'll give you is, Notion, for example, just recently started with an absolutely free plan for one person to organize their notes online with no, it's a no holds barred plan. You have access to all the features of the platform. So the idea is to have as many users try out Notion at this point of time. And if they find value out of it, once things go back to normal, or even right now, if they want to collaborate with the wider team, certain percentage of these free users would convert into paid customers going forward. So what they're doing is they're building up a pool of potential customers. That pool of potential customers that will start paying them in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months down the line. And businesses who have very strong cash flows right now, they can exploit that. They can exploit this situation. For businesses, for example, enterprise B2B businesses, you have people do not have budgets to actually run the tools that they want to run, or if they're not essential according to the business, you have to let them go. So at this point of time, can you figure out these people who are in limbo right now because they don't have a tool, and provide, let's say, 1 year free product and services to them, who have left your competitors? Now that's something that would come out from having a very strong cash flow position. You, first of all, you need to be in a position to take that kind of a call. But if you're able to take that kind of a call, it leads to that increase in potential customers going forward, and you can monetize at a point when the customers are ready to monetize, and the situation is ready to monetize. And instead you can focus on the engagement matrices and figure out how do you make sure that these customers realize value as quickly as possible. You're retaining them through this cycle, and they're engaging with your product, so that once they're ready, once they become active when it comes to monetization, you're able to convert a decent chunk of it, and recover revenue as quickly as possible once things go back to some sort of normalcy.
All right. So focusing on acquiring more and more users and ensuring that you invest in them from a long-term perspective is what's going to be your advice for businesses who are perishing right now, or who are trying to just sustain or stay up on their feet. Then let's quickly talk about this segment where businesses who are in a space who have not seen a drastic change in revenue, and what sort of experience would they be working towards? Would they still rely on whatever been happening for them because they have not been impacted greatly, or do these businesses also should resort to the new expectation, or is there a new expectation for such customers or businesses?
So you have goals, right? You have goals on how you want to grow the business, and I think those growth objectives need to be kind of dissected in detail. So for example, if you have a business that is dependent on referrals, so something like Loom, Loom, you create a video, you create a link, then you share that link in the email, and then other people look at that link, they get exposed to Loom, and they obviously want to try it out and see what's going on. And there's this virality that is kind of built into the product. So if you have something like that, and certainly let's say people are not working, or a lot of people have been laid off, that impacts the virality component of your product itself. So if you're looking at the growth targets, if you're looking at, let's say, 4x or 5x increase in the number of people who would have invited other people onto the platform, maybe that is 1 or 2x or 3x. So what you need to do, I'm just giving an example, maybe Loom, there's obviously they've seen very high engagement, but in certain cases, what you need to do is really unpack again, as I said earlier in the webinar, unpack, where is your funnel being impacted? Is it at the acquisition stage? Is it at the nurturing stage? Is it when they're when you're trying to convert them into customers? And based on that, you need to really figure out what your strategy is. So right now, for example, if the paid marketing channel is not working for you, and suddenly certain channels have completely gone down to zero, then you need to figure out how are you reallocating budgets, how do you figure out new channels that could work out for you. And then that means you need to understand the changing behavior, and even if there are new customers coming in. So if you keep on staring at your dashboard, I think this is the worst time to do that. Dashboards will only give you insight because it's lagging. Dashboards are mostly lagging in nature. So what you need to do is you need to talk to your customers, really understand where they're struggling, what is the changing behavior. And even some of our best customers who are navigating this situation, they've been reacting to understanding the customers from a primary standpoint. So doing user interviews every day, having your leadership talk to the customers on a daily basis, understand what is the changing behavior, and reacting to it. I would kind of sum up this point with an example of Domino's, right? Like Domino's, obviously, they again, food business being impacted because of COVID. But one of the things that they did really well early in the game was understand there would be mistrust because of COVID. So then they had zero contact delivery, and the way they marketed, or the way they highlighted that was to kind of realign the trust again with the customers, and it has worked really well for them. So understanding what is being impacted and how you react to it would be an important component.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned about the reaction part on the set of that, how the overall journey of a customer has been impacted. What are the things which this customer is handling at its personal end? Another example which comes to my mind with my recent like interaction with customers is that how banking and insurance customers are looking into building experiences. Is that initially when businesses, especially banks, used to offer personal loans, they used to market it around millennials, or market it around people who are looking to buy, say, their favorite bike or gadgets and all sort of those things when it comes to personal loans. But with this recent pandemic coming in, a lot of people losing their jobs, and all sort of this happening from a family point of view, or from a family front, most of individuals are looking at longevity. Most of these individuals are looking towards securing the future of their family. So now the overall marketing, or the overall experience with these businesses, especially the banks and the insurance companies, are offering on their website and everywhere else, is around how you can secure family's future, how you can basically maybe invest from a perspective of education, or upskilling yourself. Because with more and more people losing jobs, a lot of banks can kind of provide loans on upskilling people, so that when all of this is over, so there's a good workforce, or a good chunk of people who were not working beforehand but are now upskilled, and are much better positioned to basically regain jobs again. So that's how banks and insurance companies are kind of positioning their products and services right now. So that's one example which comes to my mind. Talking a little bit about the framework of business continuity, and we did discuss about businesses who are operating, or at a kind of reporting very low revenue, and then we discussed about a little bit about businesses who are kind of having things business as usual. Let's quickly talk about businesses who are growing, and a lot of businesses feel that this is like their moment. This is like a bubble kind of a situation where they might be making a lot of profits right now, but when all of this is over, then things would come back to normal. What is the comment there? Like is that something which is going to happen for businesses who are currently making a lot of profits, or you feel that there's a tectonic shift in habits of the buyers and the people who have kind of how we are witnessing, experiencing things these days?
So if you're experiencing a watershed moment for your business, you're getting insane amount of attention because of the situation. So again, like the pessimist, again, taking the same framework. Like if I were a pessimist, I would say this is temporary, and like things would go back to normal, or maybe they go worse. You never know. So if you're looking at from that framework, what you need to do is maximize acquisition at this point of time. So making sure you can grab as many users as many customers as possible during this time. So you need to start evaluating, like if the cost of acquisition at this point of time is a lot lower for your business because of the uncertainty in the situation, how do you maximize that? So maybe the hurdles in that situation would be pricing. The hurdle in that situation would be the demos that you're doing with the customer in B2B space. You do that. Any kind of human touch point that delays someone becoming a customer. So any kind of factors that delay someone becoming a customer. How do you remove that friction completely from the customer journey and make sure that your customers start using the product as quickly as possible? So one way of looking at it is obviously looking at from a very product-led approach, where your product is working, is doing the heavy duty of making sure that the customers understand very, very quickly of what the product can do. They realize the value very, very quickly, and they get into the habit of using the product more and more. So understanding that would be important in this situation. Yeah.
All right. And talking from an experience optimization perspective, you talked about, talking to customers, you talked about maybe evaluating different parts of the funnel. When you say these things, can you elaborate on that? What are those questions, or what are those concerns which we are looking to address through these customer conversations, and what metrics or aspects of your funnel should we be looking into while looking at experience optimization for businesses right now?
So as far as the funnel is concerned, again, the three questions that I mentioned right at the top. So what are the actions that the users are taking on your platform? Why are they taking those actions? And who are the people who are taking these actions? You have to answer. These are fundamental questions to your business, but the fundamentals are being shaken in this uncertain times. So you need to relook at these three questions, and once you can understand who are the customers who are using your product or platform right now, or who are interacting, or who are even showing interest in the first place. The second part, why are they showing interest, is where the customer interviews come into the customer interactions come into the picture, and understanding their behavior come into the picture. So having some sort of mechanism to get on calls with the customers and really understand what got them interested, what are they looking for out of this, what made them actually reach out to that product or service, what are they looking to get out of it, what are their apprehensions to converting, how are they looking to evaluate if they want to be a customer or not, and what are their concerns. Even if you're able to understand these basic questions, that's a great start. And as far as from a growth standpoint, understanding and addressing these concerns would be important. You may not be able to really see this change of behavior on your dashboard straight away, because it's still adjusting. Unless and until you have a drastic change, it would not show up on the dashboards directly. So you need to start understanding this behavior and start reacting to it as quickly as possible. As far as the funnel is concerned, again, you need to unpack the funnel as much as possible. So the different channels that the customers are coming in, how is that customer journey right now? Is it the same path that the users were taking before, or they've been added steps? So as I talked about in the travel industry, people are going through advisory websites, or looking for that additional information before they are converting. So if there are additional steps that people are taking in the funnel, how do you address that through the product? Even in the Domino's example, they could understand that people are probably coming in, but they're not converting, and they're probably looking at the products, but they're not adding anything to the cart. Now, if you're able to play around, maybe after talking to the customers, they understood that there's a trust issue. So if they were able to address that and use that to convert them to the next step, that worked out really well for them. One thing is obviously understanding these changing evaluation criteria, but the other part is obviously changing behavior as well. So using something like VW Insights from that perspective, and understand how these people are going through these journeys, going through these funnels, visualizing it, and understanding what are the major differences in the way people are navigating your product or your website, would again be a key criteria. And once you understand these two aspects, that's where you need to adjust your growth strategy. How would you remove the points of friction? How would you address concerns? If there are new customers coming in, do you need to tweak your messaging, your website, your product to address that. And if you have to be cost effective, what are the parts that you're removing? So this is especially useful in B2B businesses. There was a slow trend of B2B businesses becoming product led, but now there's a huge acceleration in that zone. And it's not just about making your product free, it's about making sure people realize value out of your product in a self-serve way as quickly as possible. So if that shift has happened, making sure that you're measuring the right things again would be important. So your growth strategy would then also kind of feed into what you're looking at and how you're looking at it, or how you're measuring it in this uncertain time.
All right. So Ashwin, I understood your Domino's example that you have conversation with the customer, you try to understand what are the areas which is kind of restricting them to complete the conversion. So I understand that people have apprehensions around say ordering a pizza, and which could be like they can get the disease, or like maybe what's gonna be the delivery all about, and how the food is being cooked and everything. So I get that you can address those challenges and get the conversion. But what do you do in cases of say travel or uh, booking industries that you even if you will address all the challenges, you're still not getting a conversion. So what sort of things would they be optimizing for in their experiences?
So again, like you may have channels that are not working anymore. For example, paid marketing channel would come, probably does not convert at all, and that may have been a big driver before. And even the traffic that is coming in right now, you may have a lot lower traffic than before. But if specifically in the travel industry, if the behavior is temporary, the traffic that is coming in, how do you keep them engaged? And I think from a marketing standpoint, from a content standpoint, the travel industry needs to rethink. And obviously, in certain cases, the cash flows are not there to really sustain the staff that people had, and they've obviously made cuts and streamlined their businesses. But now you are in a situation, you need to keep the users engaged. So what kind of campaigns can you run, and what kind of marketing can you do, or what kind of changes can you bring on your product to really keep people engaged? And this may not be directly linked to just bookings itself. Maybe the focus has to go back to engagement. Once someone is on your website, how do you keep them engaged for the longest time on the website, so that there's some sort of a brand recall, and when the floodgates open, your brand is on top of their mind. So you can relook at these strategies, maybe reevaluate what the priorities of the business is, and look at the situation, and reassess the situation from that point of view. And then at the same time, you can also look at what are the different kinds of value you can provide. Is there something else that you can provide to the customer? So for example, Zomato is a food delivery app in India, and now they've started doing like they started doing groceries, because they had the operations bit figured out. They have the customers which overlap with the grocery industry, so they use the skills and the competitive edge that they already had, and they use it for a completely different use case. And it opens up a new market for them, so that helps them sustain right now. But once these things normalize, then it's an addition to the existing business of food. It adds to the existing business around food delivery and stuff like that. So again, reassessment is an important part. What is important right now, and how that could impact going forward once things go back to normal.
Great. It was amazing that you talked about reassessment of your business, and how you can pivot into say maybe complementing businesses or markets where you can venture out with minimalistic effort and investment. So
Yeah.
this is one example which you mentioned about. What could be like a maybe few things which businesses can think about from a contingency plan standpoint, and how they should navigate out of this area?
So again, the same thing applies. Like again, um, if you're thinking about, I'll actually summarize a lot of the points that we talked about. So you need to listen to the customer. You may not be really understanding the changing behavior of your customer through the dashboards you have. The numbers are still lagging, and if you are not directly impacted at the either end of the spectrum, the best way to really understand what's going on is to talk to your customer, look at their changing behavior, and address that through your growth model or your growth strategy at this point of time. um, the second part is, if you are being positively impacted by this situation, how do you maximize the number of users that get in, and how do you maximize acquisition and retention at this point of time of those users, and reduce the friction that you would normally have in B2B businesses, obviously going product led. Maybe in B2C businesses, if you have paid plans, cutting the cost of those paid plans, and making sure as many users can come into the platform, and you improve the size of your network as much as possible. And then you need to again look at reassess the value that is being delivered, and whom is it being delivered to, and really understand that you are addressing the changing requirements of value and changing requirements of the customers in the current scenario, and really attack that wholeheartedly. And if your previous value does not hold true, what new can you offer to the customers to sustain during this time that you would have probably not done before?
All right. And you mentioned about the product-led approach in terms of, especially B2B businesses, uh, to invest into acquiring more and more users and customers. How does that work out for, say for anybody who is a B2C kind of a business, or businesses who does not have a free premium plan?
So in B2C businesses, they are already in a lot of ways product led, like, because you have people going into apps and figuring out the value as quickly as possible. So one of the apps, B2C apps, that I will talk about is CultFit. It's a fitness app where it would connect you to, it would give you a gym membership. So you'll have a network of gyms in the city. You can go to any one of the gyms, quickly book a time slot, even like a couple of hours before you want to go out, and you can go to the gyms and do your workouts and and all of that stuff. So now they saw it, obviously, like 100% of the business model kind of collapsing because of COVID. But one thing that they did was they started off with live lessons online, and the whole idea is that they kept those live lessons free. They could have just opened it for the members. Instead, what they did was they kept the live lessons free for everyone. Now the whole point is, okay, fine, we are in a situation where our business has been impacted, but now what if we use the situation to maximize the number of people that get exposed to the idea of CultFit, get exposed to the idea of keeping themselves fit. And once they become the brand that people associate with fitness, once things go back to normal, they'll see a huge surge in their subscriptions, because they use this time to build that base in that direction. So if you have certain kind of those kind of businesses, I would say evaluate if you're charging, let's say, $50, $60 for something, can you charge 50% less, 70% less, and like really maximize acquiring users at a much lower cost than you would probably have. So you probably need to look at your CAC, look at your LTV, make these calls and see if I look at this time as an investment into my acquisition and retention standpoint, and from a potential standpoint, and I monetize later, what kind of impact does it have on my business? And you need to take those calls from that perspective after evaluating those matrices.
Yeah, it was great that you mentioned about CAC and the cost of acquisition for businesses like that. Like another example which comes to my mind is that even if you subscribe to magazines like Bloomberg or the New York Times, and the Wired magazine and all that. Now these days they have started pumping subscriptions at a meager $1 per month. And that's a great way to get more and more people, and because like most people right now are like looking towards building habits and good habits around maybe staying up market and all sort of those things. So like getting them hooked early on, acquiring more and more users to maybe use the subscription at $1, which is like a throwaway price for them, and getting that at least hooked for 3 months. Like if I talk about the Bloomberg subscription, it's at like $3 per month, for the next 3 months, and then they usually start the regular pricing for your subscription. So yeah, I definitely validate your point on what businesses are trying from a B2C aspect around CAC. So talking a little bit about offering some value in every transaction. So apart from maybe acquiring more and more users at a very low cost, what other values can businesses offer in whatever transaction? Maybe converting a free trial, or maybe subscribing to one of the services. What other things can businesses do from an experience point of view to basically invest in their long-term growth?
I think this is the right time to really assess, the experience end to end, and like look at the funnel from different users that are coming into the business. So, how is an SMB customer behaving differently than an enterprise customer in a B2B space? And can you reimagine the enterprise experience like an SMB experience? That means value delivery being extremely fast. And what does that mean for the business? And you can start doing these anecdotal, almost like understanding short-term change in behavior through these small changes. And you don't have to do it on the entire audience. You do it, these small experiments to really trying to understand, what are those changes that are happening because of this situation. So I would not probably experiment with something that I would want on my website for a couple of years or 3 years, because if I experiment, let's say, across the entire funnel, the behavior has completely changed. And what if this behavior is temporary? And if this is temporary, then it impacts, in the long term, in the negative way. So what you then need to start doing is start looking at micro steps in your funnels, where things haven't changed that much, and maybe look at getting the most out of that step of the funnel. And that's where you need to start unpacking these different aspects. So again, assessing things as if they're new is an important aspect. And assessing that the right way would be to look at the steps all over again and see where there's a drop off, and see if you can address it right now. I would not look at long-term changes. I would look at these short-term experiments to really understand what is sticking right now and what is not sticking, and based on that maybe come up with the strategies that we are talking about. So maybe in Domino's case it's trust, maybe in CultFit's case it's keeping them engaged, maybe in certain cases just reducing the friction of pricing. In certain cases maybe it's just pausing pricing for a few months. It could be different for different businesses. You just need to, maybe in certain cases it's reevaluating the value proposition altogether that we talked about in the ClassPass scenario. You do things completely differently from that standpoint. So again, reassessing your business is an important activity that you need to do right now, and ask the fundamental questions again. And based on where the gaps are, that's how you need to start looking at short-term experiments, short-term optimizations to really see what is sticking, what is not sticking, and take the next steps accordingly.
All right. So just to conclude that, we discussed about how different businesses, especially ones who are losing revenue, can maybe think about experience in a much different fashion, maybe try to allocate and prioritize things more from a customer centric point of view. And then for businesses who are kind of doing well, they still need to invest into understanding the new behavior, the new expectation of their buyers, which is kind of moving towards more on the side of sustaining future of their family, or somewhere around that, how they can kind of think of things from a long-term perspective, is what we covered today. And in the contingency plan, we talked a lot about the product-led growth and experience in terms of how businesses can use their existing product and experience to ensure that they can basically invest in their customers or businesses, or in their customers' prosperity in the future, and then bet on getting that needed revenue with their expecting, and especially doing all that by investing in experiences. So with that, I would want to open the session for Q&A. Maybe we can start taking questions. So just for the audience to start maybe writing down questions, I have a question for you, which is around that most businesses right now are either saying that either we have too little traffic, or like, because there are some the government restrictions on our business, we cannot, like, make like open our restaurants, or like provide hotel bookings, all that. What would be your advice for these business in terms of experimentation, like whether they should maybe try to test some critical pieces of their website, or maybe like all ballistic with some crazy changes which they always thought that this might not be the right time because they were always too worried about their conversions. So what sort of an advice would you provide to businesses around experimentation right now?
So these are this is a complete change in behavior, an upside down change in behavior. So I would not run experimentation from a long-term view for such kind of businesses. So if you're seeing drastically low traffic, or you're seeing the behavior completely change at certain steps of your funnel, I would be apprehensive running long-term experiments that impact long, let's say, a particular feature, or changing something at the bottom of the funnel, uh, that would probably something that I would like to keep for a couple of years. I would not do that. I would look at it from the perspective of understanding the changing behavior right now, and reacting to it as quickly as possible. So I would probably look at experimentation from the perspective of the traffic that is coming in. How do I retain that traffic as much as possible, or what can I learn about that particular traffic through the process of experimentation, and keep it short term, keep the learnings to this scenario, this changing time, not long term, if your business is impacted from this significantly.
All right, we are getting one question from Niyukta. Niyukta wants to know, besides surveys and dashboards, what can be a way to understand customer mentality of change habits, or say why they are visiting us?
Yeah, so one of the things that like some of the customers have done really well is to actually talk to the customers directly. Like this, if there ever was a time to talk to your customers directly, this is it. So like any kind, your top customers, based on past behavior, who have come back to your product again and again and again, maybe reach out to them. This is the time to reach out and really figure out what's going on, what are they struggling with, what has changed, and have these samples from your most important segments. Maybe high, medium, and low usage. You can look at these 3 tiers in your most important segments, and then you can also look at the new segments that have come into the picture. So once you're looking at your analytics dashboard and you see, let's say, someone from a new country or from a new industry coming in, and they're interacting with your product, maybe they're not converting right now, but reach out to them, find a sample size of, let's say, 4 or 5 people, in that in for that segment, and really start talking to them. So it's really about getting them on calls and really talking to them one-on-one. So surveys work well when you want to scale your feedback mechanism, but I would say you need to be more granular at this point of time, because it's a drastic change. So when you're looking to get into drastic change, it's important to kind of really listen to the customer. So going back to the to the most basic way of understanding customer would be important, and then you accentuate with the behavior that these customers are doing on the website. So looking at the visitor recordings, looking at their heat maps, and even comparing it to what they were, let's say, a couple of months ago, and what has really changed. So you can use that information, accentuate it with with the heat map and the visitor recordings. I would use surveys once I have this initial understanding, and then I want to scale my learnings even further, and that's where I would run survey. But I would not run one survey for everyone. I would have targeted surveys for each of the segments, and know that I'm not averaging out my learnings. I need to get specific learnings from these specific segments, and then based on the understanding that I had with the direct customer interviews, and based on the learnings that I have from the survey plus the data that I see, I decide what's the course of action from a growth model standpoint.
All right, we have another question from Joel. Joel wants to know that we have a decent CSAT and NPS score, and we don't know what's wrong at our at our experience point of view. So how we can improve on the experience part? to offer a much better NPS and satisfaction score from our customers.
So
I think his question is more on the side of the measures of NPS and CSAT which they are receiving right now. It's all coming out to pretty good, but they have not been much improvement from an experience point of view. So what they can do there?
So from an experience point of view, I think like one of the things that you have to do with your NPS and CSAT score is react to it really quickly. So at this point of time, since keeping the customer is a big aspect, whatever feedback you're getting from your distractors, you need to figure out of an implementation cycle or an action cycle for your business where you incorporate that feedback as quickly as possible. Since in certain businesses, if you're seeing a decline in the new customers coming in, retaining customers becomes very important. So now is the right time to maybe even have an SOS team that works on the feedback and make sure that the feedback is implemented as quickly as possible, and then you communicate that with the customer. And if there are other customers like that, you communicate this to them as well, because there are only a percentage of users who may have been in a position where they thought they would write to you, but there are many people who haven't written. So if you can look at their behavior pattern, the customer or the people who raised a particular concern, look at their pattern and see if there are other people who have shown same kind of behavior on your product, on your website. You should proactively reach out to them and let them know that you've made these changes. So at this point of time, optimizing experience and communicating those optimizations as well to the customer is just as important. And if we have those mechanisms in place, even if it means you have a temporary setup to handle these things at a much faster rate than before, I would go ahead and do that to optimize the experiences right now.
All right. So I don't see any more questions coming in. So with that, I would want to end the session. For this session, we have a quick session giveaway where you can access the VW Deploy tool, which we have recently launched in the VW platform, which you can use to basically edit your website or build small experiences, run pop-ups, and a lot more in terms of your website experience. So maybe to showcase your preparedness with COVID-19, if you want to make an update on that, you can quickly do that using VW Deploy without your requirement or involvement of your IT team. So do give it a check out. So do check that out. And with that, I would want to end the session. Thank you, audience, for attending it. Thank you, Ashwin, for being a part of the session and giving us with these great insights. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.